Okay, HadesOmega here. Shoot another KLX video, but it's going to be a little, it's kind of not a KLX video today. Today I'm going to show you how to replace the brake pads on your Kawasaki KX85/100. So I say that because my KLX has KLX85 brakes. KLX85 or KLX100 front end. And to install that front end, I had to use the brakes from the KX also. I'm not sure if you can. There's some way that you can put the KLX caliper on it. I don't remember because when I did it, it was a while ago. So I found out the hard way that this is the wrong. These are the KX calipers and not the KLX calipers. So I'll show you. Okay, so this is the second time I've shot this video because the first time I bought the wrong freaking brake pads. Okay, so I'll tell you what the deal is. So like I said, I got the KX front end, and with the KX front end, you got to use the KX brake. It looks pretty much the same. It uses the same rotor and everything, so I always thought like, hey, it's the same brake, but it's not apparently. And I found that out when I tried to change the brake pads and put these guys in. As you can clearly see, this is the KLX brake pad, and this is the KX brake pad, and they look nothing alike. And the KX brake pads are much smaller, so I feel like I kind of got the downgrade going down to the KX front. So if I can get some kind of adapter or something to run the KLX caliper, I probably would, because I feel that this is much more meaty than that. Look at that. It's almost twice as much surface area. so yeah. But still, for the KLX 140, I feel that the even with the KX brakes, the spike still has adequate braking power, more than adequate braking power. Just because it's got the dual discs. And they have good calipers, not calipers, rotors. So this is a FA135R EBC brake, and this is its KX equivalent, the FA258R. So if anybody wants to buy a pair of KLX front brake pads, let me know. I may still have this if you're watching this video, but just put that aside, and this is what we're going to be using. So this is the FA258R. I think these are the sintered brake pads. Basically, I think they're semi-metallic is what they are. They're like half. There you go, sintered. Oh, sintered. Yeah, sintered series R suffix. So they're high durability, sintered metal sport and pleasure use brake compound for use in off-road riding. In extreme conditions, SV series may be advisable. So I probably wouldn't wanted to buy this one. If I was just gonna go supermoto all the way, I would probably use this one. But since I use this for supermoto and dirt biking, it probably won't just use this one. For high durability race, use the MXS pad, Sport Centered series. For fast dry race, use carbon. I think the R is probably, it's kind of the middle of the road pad. It's in between everything. They last long, they bite good, sort of. So there we go. That's my little story, and I'm going to show you how to change the brake pads. It's actually really quite easy on this bike. I've done it. I've had to fiddle around with the brakes a lot recently. So let's hop to it. So I'm just going to have the camera right here focused on this part of the bike because this is what we're going to be working on. So this will work for your KLX with a KX front end or a KX85 or KX100. So what you're going to want to do first is take out these two bolts holding the caliper on there. And you need a 12 millimeter to do that. I'm going to use my impact gun to do it. Pretty easy. Okay, should kind of just drop down. I'm doing it on a stand. You don't have to do it on a stand, but it makes it a little easier to work on. And then caliper comes right off. Okay, so the first time I did this, the previous owner had done something goofy with these calipers, but it's really quite easy if nobody had messed around with it. They had put a cotter pin in where there should have just been a clip. So here, so you can see that the pads are pretty worn out on this. You can tell because the pistons are out pretty much all the way, and you can definitely tell there's not much pad left. Yeah, generally one side wears out faster than the other. All right, so what you're going to want to take them out with is some pliers, some kind of needle nose pliers, kind of like this. There is a clip right here. You can see. I can flip this. I think I can flip it out. No, you can't. One of them you can flip out. Okay, just kind of push the pad out a little bit so you got some room to work with. And you can see there's a clip. I actually installed this clip. Like I said, there used to be a cotter pin here. And the way it's installed is you got to pull it out from like this way. It would be hard to get it in the other way. But what you got is a little pin here that holds the pads. So basically you take the clip out and the pin slides right out. You don't even, there is a hex head on it, but you actually don't, it's not screwed in at all. It's just held in by the pin here. So go ahead and take that clip out. Just go get your pliers. Try to bite into it. Or you can probably even just use a pick to get it in there. There we go. I'm going to pull it straight out. Should come out. There it is. This is actually a team associated bobby pin. It's very similar to a hitch pin clip, but it's much smaller. That's what they use for this. And then you can just pull the pad retaining pin out. It comes out like that. This one of them should just fall out right there, because one of them is really only held in by one thing. And then the other one, you have to flip. It's kind of like a switchblade or something, or like a pocket knife. You got to flip it the other way, and then pull it out right there. And that's it. Pads are out. Almost easy. Super easy. So you can see, I believe 1 millimeter was what the manual said is the wear limit, and this is just about 1 millimeter. Yeah. I was going to do a track day and I decided not to because the pads are really low. So we'll go compare these to the new pads when I get them out of the package. So, but let's go prep the caliper for installation. Okay, so the KX uses this dual piston caliper, a Tokiko dealie. So you will not be able to get the new pad in there because it's got too much meat on it. It will not fit the rotor. So what you're going to have to do is push the pistons back in. You can use, it's a really small piston, so you can't really use a clamp like a normal brake, like an automotive brake. But I believe you can just push it in with your fingers. There you go. See? It was really easy. So you just push them in one at a time. There you go. So you can see it's not sticking out as much anymore. So just go ahead and do that and push it as far in as you can. I feel like when I push one in, the other one goes out. Okay, I feel that's pretty good. Also remember, just be careful. There's a little retaining clip here that this part kind of helps rest on. It's a little spring clip is what it is. So it keeps it from like, jiggling around and stuff. It makes the insulation like tighter. And then there is also some spring clips down here too, in the little valley here. Make sure you don't lose those. Just don't mess with them. If they fall out, just put them back how you found them. And man, there's a piece of dirt in here. I did take this dirt biking pretty recently. It's like mud. Yeah, just try to clean it up as best you can. And what you can do right now would be a good time to remove this where the caliper slides and grease it. So this is just a little bit of brake service that you should probably do every time. Chances are, by the time your pads are out, done, you should probably do a little brake freshening up. So what you want to do when you're inspecting your brakes is to make sure these boots here have no holes in it. You do not want holes in these. It's supposed to be totally clean in there. So you want to inspect those. These ones look good. And then you just kind of just pull it out. You pull the whole assembly out like this whole dealie here. Just push it out, and then it should go out all the way. The boots are what's holding it in. So the boots kind of bite into there a little bit. This one doesn't want to come out. Maybe it's the other one. Okay. So on this one is held in right here, and the other one is held in on the actual plate. So they're like opposites. And then you should be able to take it out. There you go. So that's what it looks like. And then what you want to do is just inspect the boots and look at the grease on the pin. See if it's contaminated at all. It actually looks great. I probably don't really have to mess with it at all. But if you have sticky brakes, this is probably the #1 culprit right here. If you get like a brake that gets stuck, it doesn't want to return. This is the #1 culprit that you. For some reason, the grease is gone from the little sliding pins here, and then yeah, it gets seized. So you want to make sure these are well lubed, and you can just put. So what you want to use is something like this. A brake caliper grease is what you're going to use to lube it. Since this one is in pretty good shape, I don't think I'm going to clean out the grease. I'm just going to add. Maybe I should. I don't know. In fact, I don't even really want to touch it at all. It looks perfectly fine to me, man. It's in really good shape, actually. But yeah, just make sure you take the boots out and make sure there's no holes in them. That's the boot. And then they just kind of snap back in that little groove when you're done. But since it looks okay, I don't know how compatible this grease is with this other grease. Generally, you would probably just want to just wipe it clean, but that grease looks perfectly fine. It actually looks exactly the same as this stuff. I really hate this stuff. It's really goopy and stuff. So what you want to do is just make sure this is full of grease. I'm just going to add a little bit on there, but this looks exactly the same grease. And you want to use a caliper grease. You could probably just use normal automotive grease, but they sell an actual grease for this. Okay, just gonna add a little bit to this. Just a little extra. Okay, so these are in excellent shape. Put the boot back on. Here. Okay. Probably want to add a little more of this. Don't put too much. If you put too much, it'll start coming out and make a mess. So, okay. Just make sure it's got a nice coat on it, and then just put it back the way you found it, basically. So it's just like this. Push it in as far as you can. Put the boots back in. If you put too much, it may not want to go back in. But just try to get the boots back in. It's not being very cooperative. The other one's already back in. Just try to squeeze it over the groove. Okay, I got one, and then the other side popped off. It's kind of a pain in the ass for this side, but you can just kind of just rotate it until it goes on there like that. Okay, and just push it in. Kind of work it in there a little bit. Just make sure it's nice. It moves nice and smoothly, and then that should be good. If the boot was torn, and you see any kind of rust or water, any kind of contamination, you need to clean out all the grease, clean it up really good, and then re-grease it, and then you should be fine. But that's what you don't want. You don't want any contamination in there, because then it will not slide, and then if it doesn't slide, your brakes stick, and then you're kind of gonna have a bad day. Okay. That's good. Okay. So that should be good to go. Now we're gonna go put the pads in. Okay. So I got here the brake pads, and okay, I got the old pads right next to the new pads. So basically like this and like that, or the other way. So you can definitely tell if I held these up to the camera. One has way more meat. I almost hit the metal, so yeah. I definitely got my money's worth out of this pad, that's for sure. Could you still use it? Yeah, you could probably still use it a little bit, but yeah, that pad is pretty much done already, so you don't want to use that anymore. Yeah, so you can see the pad is also much smaller. It's a little bit smaller than the rotor, actually. So you can see that's where it rubs on the rotor, and you still got a little bit of room over here on the side. A little bit of room still left. So that's the problem with using the KX pads. They do work, but it's not ideal. It doesn't use the whole rotor, unfortunately. But you don't really need super good brakes on a dirt bike, but you do on a supermoto. So, but I found out that these are okay. These are pretty good. They do work good. So what you want to do is, I believe the other one had a clip on it. So if you have anything like this, a metal kind of backing, you want to transfer that to the new brake pad. You can also put that brake caliper grease on it. So it was kind of like this, was it? And it goes on like this. So you want to make sure if you have anything like that, you go ahead and put that back on. This looks... So now this one has a little clip. I don't know if the other one had it. Maybe someone didn't put it back. But they just put it back naked, so I don't know if the other one had one. So these Tukiko, yeah, so these are Tukiko brake pads. These are the stock pads. We're using our EBC pads. So alright, so to install it, pretty simple. What you want to do is put the long one in first. And just remember, okay, so what you want to do first is put the smaller pad in, the one that only has one hole in it for the pin. Go ahead and put that in first, because it's harder to get it in if you put the other pad first, because there's less room now. So just remember which way the pad is supposed to go. The curved part is supposed to be going towards the axle, so just like that. So when you got it in there, just make sure it's like that. And plus, the pin only goes through here, so it's pretty dummy proof, but you never know. So go ahead and just kind of slide that in there. You can kind of see what I'm doing here. Let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, so there's that springy metal thing I was talking about. You want to get that lined up in there, so that, just like that, where the springy metal thing is. Push in. Maybe you want to give it another little push with the pad in there, so it lines up nice and flat. And then go ahead and get your other one. Just make sure, and just remember this part goes towards inside the axle. You just put it in like a knife again. I think I got it the wrong way again. This, and slide that sucker like this. And then you should feel a little spring action there. And then what you want to do next is put the pin in. Put the pin in, it should go through the hole. And then put the pin in through the other one. If they don't line up, try to make them line up. And then you put your also you may want to put a little bit of grease on the pins here so it slides around, just a very light amount so it doesn't collect a lot of dirt. But I think I'm just going to put it naked for now. And then just go get your clip. Look for the hole. Find the hole. Okay, so there's the hole right there. I'm kind of looking at it right now. It's kind of hard to see, but if you look straight down at it, there's the hole right there. What you want to do is point the hole to the top of the caliper the way I'm looking at it right now. So rotate it. You can rotate it by hand, pointing upward a little bit. Actually, what you can do is you can use this to rotate it. So I'm going to put the pin in first. It's kind of hard to see, sorry. And then you're going to push it in, and then just rotate the pin like this. And then push it in the rest of the way. Boom. There you go. Pin doesn't come out anymore. Pin doesn't come out, brake pads don't come out. This holds the pin in. Pretty nice. Pretty nice system. Okay, so you're going to want to put the caliper back on. So hopefully you push the piston far enough back where the pads will clear the rotor. So if you did, just make sure the pads are spread apart as much as possible, and then just put it in between the rotor, and then go ahead and reinstall the caliper. Just go get your bolts. If it was hard to get your bolts out before, you may want to put some anti-seize on them. These already have anti-seize on them actually. So yeah, if you heard a little snap or whatever when you took it back, when you took the old bolts out, when you took the bolt out before, then that means it's seized sorta. So you're lucky it didn't break. So but yeah, if you have never really touched this at all, it will probably be like that. So it would probably be a good idea to put some kind of anti-seize compound. I already have some on there, so I'm not going to put any. And then I'm going to go snug it with my T-handle wrench here. Not very tight. Just make sure it's nice and snug, okay? And that's it. So it's pretty much done. All you have to do next is to bed the pads. I'll show you how to do that in a second. All right. Okay, so we got the pads. We installed the pads, put the caliper back on. So now what you want to do is to bed the pads. So basically it will not stop if I squeeze the brake lever. Well, I kind of just did right now. But yeah, it goes in all the way. So what you want to do is squeeze the pads until you get some resistance. And there you go. So it should spin freely, and then when I give it brakes, it'll just stop like that. So that means we're good. Also, at this point, you probably want to check the little window. Make sure your bike is level. Check the little window in here to see if you have brake fluid in there, and see if it looks clear. It looks like it's a little dirty. It's getting a little old, but that should be okay. The brakes look like they're in good shape on this bike still. So yeah, there you go. So it should have some resistance. Basically, when you push those, when you push the piston back in, it pushed the fluid back into the reservoir, and it should actually be more full than it was before. So right now would be a good time to flush the brake system. Is what I'm going to say, because now you're at the level where, like, you know, where you want it. As you use your brake pads up, the level should start going down, and then if it gets too low, then yeah. But I think it should be fine. But this is the time when you want to top it off. But it looks like it's perfectly fine. You see stuff in the window. You'll see there is a I think there's like two marks. There's a mark here, and there's a mark here. I think you want the fluid to be in between the two lines, and it's actually full all the way. So so I probably have too much brake fluid in there, but it's fine. All right, so there you go. That's how to install a KX85 or 100 front brake pads on your on your KX85 or 100, or your KLX that has a KX85 or 100 front end on it. Hope you learned something. All right, HadesOmega out.